Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is In the Zone. This is our third and final segment. This is Contender Pretender. There are 7 undefeated teams left in the NFL. Ryan, we will start with you, and we will start with the New Orleans Saints led by Drew Brees. Go.
All right, Mason, the Saints contender. Sean Payton, like you said, is back. Drew Brees is there. They haven't skipped a beat in the passing game. Colson's having a great season. Kenny Stills coming back and revitalizing the wide receiving core as a rookie. Lance Moore not doing too much, but they also did pick up Meacham. No running game, but the defense has improved. The Saints are a contender.
No, I might be eating crow at the end of the season. I picked the Falcons win the division, but so far it looks like the Saints are the favorite and a contender. You also alluded to the fact that Rob Ryan is also back on their defense as well. Last season they had the worst statistical defense in NFL history. I think now they pretty much shored up that defense. Not to mention they haven't relatively skipped a beat even with Sean Payton back.
All right, Chris, we're going to stay with you. We're going to go with the New England Patriots.
I don't know. They're 3-0. So right now I have to say pretender because I can't get a good read on them. I mean, they've beaten the Bills, they've beaten the Jets, and they've beaten Tampa Bay. 3 lackluster offenses.
Exactly.
I mean, their wide receivers pretty much can't. I mean, their wide receivers still left a lot to be desired. Their defense is solid, though. I like what they're doing. I like what their defense is, especially what their defense was the past 2 years. But so far, I just can't get a good read in their offense to honestly believe that they're a contender.
I'm thinking Patriots are a contender, not for the Super Bowl, but obviously they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, the Dolphins are there as of now, but I think when they play each other, maybe get a split out of it. The Patriots are a better team than the Dolphins overall, and the Jets and the Bills are absolutely terrible. I mean, Tom Brady's not going to put up big yards this year, but
I like to call the split with the Dolphins. I really think the Patriots, watch out for that offense because Gronkowski comes back, and if they don't pick up that offensive consistency, they could be a big-time pretender, and it could happen.
Yeah, Gronk is also coming off 4 arm surgery, so we really don't know if he's going to come back as the Gronk of old or if he's going to come as a shell of his former self.
All right, let's stay within the division, Ryan, and you alluded to the Miami Dolphins, so I'll give you the Miami Dolphins, contender, pretender.
I think they had a huge win this week against the Falcons, but I'm saying pretender still. I think they have a good defense, but I still don't trust Tannehill to lead this team to the playoffs.
Believe in the Fins. Believe in the Fins. Chris.
I say contender just because the AFC is just that terrible. I really think they'll make it to a wild card, either a 5th or a 6th seed. I like what I see from Tannehill so far. I really expect a lot more, not only from Mike Wallace, but also Lamar Miller from the running game. I think their defense is solid enough to keep them in games to make them a contender.
All right, guys, let's move out west to Seattle. Just a huge blowout win against Jacksonville. It literally looked like they weren't even trying to score. Sidney Rice, 2 touchdown catches. Russell Wilson, just the same brilliant, smart, clever quarterback that he's been ever since he was at NC State 5-6 years ago. Ryan, what do you think about Seattle Seahawks?
I mean, Seattle is a Super Bowl contender right now. You know, besides, we're not even worried about playoffs right now. They're a Super Bowl contender. The defense is the best in the National Football League. That Seattle defense is crazy. And Russell Wilson's just, you know, he's just dinking the ball down sometimes, then he'll throw a play action in there. Marshawn Lynch is the key for that team. Keep giving the man the ball. You know, take a little pressure off Russell Wilson, and when he needs to make a play, he can. All of a sudden, Zach Miller comes out of nowhere and catches 2 touchdowns. So when this team needs someone to, you know, get big and make a big play, they get it. They're a clutch team.
And I have to agree with, obviously, a Super Bowl contender. I mean, if they get home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs in the NFC, I don't see no team going to Seattle at all and beating these guys. You know, especially with Richard Sherman and the Browner and Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas leading the charge on that defense. You know, Russell Wilson is pretty much, you know, managing the game. Marshawn Lynch being the workhorse. And the one week I actually benched Sidney Rice. He goes off for 2 touchdowns.
I think the scary thing was not even this week against Jacksonville. You can almost throw that game out. But last week when they hung, you know, 29 points on a San Francisco team who now we might not think it is that big of a contender after the loss to the Colts, they hung 29 points on them like it was nothing. I mean, they just marched up and down the field every single drive, and it just looked way too easy. That is when it's scary. When you see Seattle moving a team with the defense like that, that's rough. Let's move to our last team. We'll leave Denver out. They haven't played yet, even though those Raiders got something coming tonight. We'll talk about the Bears, the Chicago Logan Cop Bears. I'll throw it to you, Chris. What do you got?
It's hard for me to get a good read on them, but I like what I see so far, so I have to say contender. I think, you know, Mark Trustman and the Jay Cutler relationship is pretty much meshing well. I mean, Jay Cutler, obviously, for the 3rd week in a row, came in the clutch in the 4th quarter again with a nice touchdown pass to Martellus Bennett. I know I like, Bennett, Marshall, Alshon Jeffrey, Matt Forte, Michael Bush. I like that offense, but their defense is just nasty, man. They constantly get turnovers pretty much every single week. I mean, and not to mention, their special teams is still good, with a good old reliable, accurate kicker and Robbie Gould as well.
Yeah, Chris, I totally agree with you. The Bears defense will turn you over every single week. One of the most underrated cornerbacks in the league, Charles Tillman, every week he strips somebody. Julius Peppers come around the end. He'll do the same. I don't know if I totally trust Jay Cutler yet, but Matt Forte, he's going to have a ginormous season this year.
That's the big hinge right there is Jay Cutler will make or break this team. Their defense will do plenty. All right, Chris, 10 seconds, pick them. Oakland Raiders at Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football. Who you got?
It's the Broncos bye week. They're at home. They have Peyton Manning. Enough said. I'm taking Denver.
It's cold up there.
Yeah, Mason, I'm going to take the Broncos by 24 points. Peyton Manning's going to have a huge game. He's on his way to 50 touchdowns. That's all you need to say.
Let's hope he has a good game because there's a lot of fantasy owners out there who would like to see a big game from our boy Peyton Manning.
You will not be disappointed.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's all we have for this session of In the Zone. Thank you for tuning in. We're taking a 23-and-a-half-hour break. Good night, y'all.